So we're looking at 8 different short course trucks and desert trucks. We've looked at the Senton 3S BLX. Today we're looking at its new big brother, its new baby brother, the Mojave 4S. Whoa. And just like the Senton 3S BLX, this little fella is a plastic tub chassis. I can't wait to show you what it's all about. Let's take a look. Little improvements get made, lessons get learnt, and then there becomes a new way of doing things. And what I'm really liking is maybe a step forward for Lexan body bashers like this, is I can see the body posts are sticking through the chassis here, as well as the two at each end on top at front and rear. So this, in conjunction with a nice little cage and protection all around, in fact, this might just be a Lexan body that's actually up to the rigors of bashing, because that is what we're doing here. So let's take a look at it. It's a gorgeous machine, and as I've done the last 2.5 years with this channel, I try to read as little as possible about a new car as I can before we get it, so that I can give you my impressions. Because there are other channels out there that will give you the specs, they'll give you the races side of things, which is absolutely worth looking at. I want to bring something that's a bit unique, that makes it worth your time to watch, you know? So I'm going to look at it from a basher's perspective, and I will fearlessly toss this thing into my yard and we shall see what we can see. Straight off, when you first get this car, there's actually quite a lot of plastic. It has 2 front bumpers. This molded plastic, I actually thought when I first saw it, it might join the body underneath and this whole plate might be separate, but no, it's part of this. It's not actually attached to anything else underneath, but thankfully behind it is this flippy floppy firm piece, but then there's a concussion bar or a headache bar, whatever you want to call it, that is really firm. It does have some give in it. So this supports the inside of the front of the body. It's a similar story in the back. It's molded plastic, which comes all the way up. So even though it's got a built-in wheelie bar, when this thing's going up or landing on its butt, the back of the body is actually protected, which is nice. If you don't quite get why I'm making a little fuss about this at the start of the video, the Senton here and many other short course trucks have a bumper, like a decent bumper and a wheelie bar built in, but the body itself tends to take a hiding, particularly if it's not protected. So this thing has these little things behind it to support the body, but they're not molded to it in any way, and the thing's just cracked and broken. I've shown you the history on the channel, you can find it if you like. This is a super durable car. I like the 3S. So the back of the body on the 4S is not going to have that same cracking problem, which is really good to see. And indeed, when you look at the rear bumper as well, and I'm starting with the armoured stuff because as nice as something is when it comes out of the box, gosh, they get ratty quickly sometimes, don't they? This is moulded and it goes around, so let me show you. So some of this moulded plastic does go over the bumper, but it rests on it, and it's form-fitting. And indeed, I see that this plastic here actually goes around both sides of the Lexan. So the Lexan's actually sitting in between this fold of plastic. That's good design, eh? I like that. And it just clips in nicely. There's a lot of material in this rear bumper as well. I'm making a fuss about it because this is the 2 ends of a short course truck or a desert truck that just get ratty really fast when you're bashing. And I'm really happy to see that. It's also fairly lightweight. The box said 4.75 kilos. I picked it up on my scale. I got 4.955, so it's just shy of 5 kilos to my scale. So you've got the body posts go through each end of the body, which is traditional. But then this cage, the 4 parts that go into the body holes, they're attached to the side, they're attached to the top. It's actually quite rigid, but it does have some flex. This might be one of the best supported bodies I think I've ever seen. All the cars do this, all of them do. That's okay, that's normal, polycarbonate flexes, but it's never going to actually be forced to do that on the car because you're supported there and through to the back. I like the body. There's certainly plenty of material around the body supporting holes or posts. They're a composite shock tower at each end with a honeycomb interior. That's lightweight. If you bash these this car hard enough, you're going to break these towers, and there will be alloy aftermarket stuff available, I'm sure. But keeping it light and keeping it plastic, I mean, it's worked for Traxxas with a bunch of their models. Now the 3S Senton doesn't have this center bracket. This one does. My Creighton doesn't because it's a version 3. I don't know how necessary this bar will be, but again, Arrma is all about bashing, so good for them. It's nice to see that. You know what's interesting also is that you see all these weight-saving holes to save space in the mold. You can see the white through here. There are little tiny holes at the bottom of each of these triangles. They've got drainage all throughout. I also see they've got drainage holes for the spur gear on the center diff. It has a center diff, that's nice too. But if you're just meeting this car for the first time, it's a hefty boy. It's only a little bit shorter than the 6S Mojave, which has been out for a few years now. And in Australia, this thing was about $1,000 and the 6S Mojave is about $1,100. So it's only $100 difference, 10% difference. I don't know if that's the same in the US. I noticed there's a lot of movement on these tires. And I looked to make sure, yeah, everything's tight. So this is just built-in slop. I think slop might be forgivable. What I don't see is a servo saver on the bell crank. Usually there's like a threaded arm, and in fact the entire bell crank's made of plastic, which is interesting. Oh, okay, so there is a servo saver, but it's actually, I can see it, and you can tell what kind of servo saver it is. You listen as I turn this servo, you watch. Can you still hear the servo once the wheels stop? So the steering assembly is moving and the servo arm's moving, but then the servo saver is catching up as the motor and the gears in the servo move. It's unusual to see a servo saver actually on the servo horn rather than on the bell crank there. And I do wonder about this. Plastic works as long as it's strong enough, but I mean, there's a lot of slop in this thing, a lot of slop. Let me just compare it real quick. I'm pretty sure we're still using the stock servo in this fella. Yeah, there's less slop in this thing. The setup is the same. Yeah, and there's a servo saver on that. So the steering setup is actually very similar to the Senton 3S here. One difference is where your dust shields are located. I get stones and stuff caught in the steering on this fella quite a bit. There's just a little hole where the bell crank is. This is completely open, so more stuff is possibly going to get in, but it doesn't have that little tiny hole where the arms are going through, where sticks and stones stick and they jam the steering on the 3S. The box tells me it's an S652 servo. The specs on the website say it's a 6 volt to 7.2 volt servo, but then in the same spec page a little bit further down it says up to 7.4 volts bracket high voltage. I don't know what to say there. I know that the 120 amp ESC here has a 7.4 volt BEC output. The servo is rated to 7.2 volts and the servo is rated to 7.4 volts. That's both from the same spec page. So let's just say that it's going to be at the upper end. Will there be fade? I don't know. There usually is for an RTR car, and I mean that's one of the things that you update, isn't it, on a car. I've done it on my Creighton. Most of my cars, they get a servo upgrade. It seems a bit wasteful, doesn't it? Sadly, this is going to be no different, I suspect, but we shall see if it fades. So 2400 kV motor, 120 amp ESC. On 4S, things are going to get warm. We shall see how hot things get. They're not thumb screw adjustable shocks. While I'm looking down at this thing, they use spacers. The bag comes with a bigger space ray gun in this case and a few extra spacers, AA batteries for the remote, and two different manuals. One has an exploded parts diagram with part names, which is useful for when you have breakages, and the bigger manual will be about setting up, programming the radio and whatnot. You got your set button there. I've got a firmer something programming card here. I got it for my SCX6 and then never used it, but it's sitting there. You can program this thing using the set and beeps that you hear from it, so that'll be all in the manual. And I did mention there's a center diff before. That's really nice. It's a full metal drivetrain. And lastly, you've got two inputs for running two 2S batteries in series to get you to 4S. or you have a jumper here that just continues this line as if it's just one. That's what that jumper does, so that you can just use a single battery. And if you're going to use two batteries, they'll have to stack on top of each other in this battery compartment. There's a little thing here to hold the balance plug. So we can fit a 4S brick in here. How adjustable is this? It's not actually an adjustable battery tray. That's weird. Standard brick. Okay, so there's a length difference here. Well, that's a shame. I can't fit my 4S battery in my 4S car. Right, now I've removed the two pieces, and we went from having 139 mils of space for a battery, which would fit this fella, to having 164 mil, so 163, so 2.4 centimeters extra we got just by removing these pieces. So all that width in there, that's what we gained by removing them. And because it's held in by Velcro, it's still nice and snug. Now I also had to chop this, because while the EC5s fit the XT90s, you need to use a bit of Velcro to hold them in, which I've got. Now it also fits this guy, but it doesn't work the other way around. I also noticed that the Velcro straps have a little extra mold built in that holds just the right gauge of these wires, whatever they are. They're 12, yeah, 12. So 12 AWG holds two of them, and that keeps them up and above the center drive shaft here. So it spins without interfering with the wiring, and then it goes over the top. So I'm liking the layout of this thing so far quite a bit. Right, what else did I notice that I wanted to tell you? Oh yes, I said the steering was really sloppy when it was up in the air, like crazy sloppy, right? There's so much play, but once it comes flat and the angle goes a lot less, there's actually a lot less play in it than there was. There's still some, but it's nothing like this when it's off. So that might be for nothing. There's a sway bar in the front and in the rear. So sway bar plus center diff, happy days. Now just before we drive, it comes with an SLT3. This is the basic 3-channel Spectrum fare currently, 4 AAs, which are included. I don't know how I feel about that. It's nice having included batteries, but I'd encourage you to try and use rechargeables when you can. It's much better for the planet. All I wanted to say was, let me encourage you to use nickel metal hydride AAs. They'll work just fine, and it'll contribute less to landfill. It comes with batteries, great, use them, but then, you know, jump over to rechargeables. Most of us use them. Other thing I wanted to mention was the Losi Baja Ray 2.0. We're going to look at that very soon. I did a little short not too long ago. It shows just how similar these two cars are. They're from the same parent company, Horizon Hobby. But the Losi comes with this fella, which is the DX3, and it has the receiver with the gyro. No gyro with this fella. The good news is that the receiver in this Mojave here does run at, it'll take up to 8 point something volts, I think, or at least 7.4 or higher. And they're running a 1/8 appropriate wheel nut here. This is considered 1/8 size. The Losi Baja Ray there too is considered, well, they call it a 1/10, but it's the same size as the Mojave here. The 1/10 is a bit smaller, so it's a bit longer in the rear, and it is longer in the front. So this is typical for 1/10, and this is typical for 1/8, even though this is called a 1/10. The Mojave here is called a 1/8, and make of that what you will. Right, here's why no one's done this on 2S. It won't accept it. So we have to run 3 or 4S. 3S, first drive ever. Oh jeez, just hit myself in the eye. It's got some hustle. Crikey, that's on 3S. My goodness. So what do they say? 80k an hour on 4S? So this has got to be 60. Handles well, because this thing has so much power, so much speed, that we need the space. It's quite stable. Wow, that should have rolled, many cars would have rolled then. There's a slight delay in steering and in acceleration. It does handle nicely. It's definitely got the go. Something's not right though. Wow, it's stable. It's so stable though. I gave it full berries to bring the nose up, but it wasn't enough. Oh no! I'm actually reluctant to put it on 4S, honestly. That was a really tough landing. It goes, I mean the sway bars are obviously helping, because as it begins what would be a roll, the sway bars suck the other side of the body down a bit. And having a center diff also means under heavy acceleration, the front wheels are allowed to spin a bit, which helps reduce the traction. It helps reduce the power going to the rear wheels, which are already maxed out for traction. I thought I noticed a vibration before. I'm pretty sure that vibration is just the wheels not being balanced. And although it seems to go away at higher speed, that's going to take a real toll on bearings and stuff. But it is certainly predictable. That delay I thought I noticed is gone. I think. It could have been me, I'm not sure. You can actually hear the vibration. You may not be able to, because it's got to go through this camera's speakers and then, sorry, this camera's mic and then your speakers. But that first 20% of throttle, it was evident when I was holding it up, right? I can hear it pretty clearly. I can see it shaking too. Still, it's a basher. We'll go the other way. Yeah, it's not bad. Look how stable it is. You get it out of shape and it holds on. That's the sway bars, partly. Because as see that side as it sucks down, then the other side of the car gets sucked down. That's sway bars doing their job. Beautiful. I'm trying to drive like big S's, back and forth, back and forth. I'm trying to get it unstable. And look, it's actually pretty good. Oh yeah, this is a good basher. It's a bit wallowy for a track car, but most people looking at this, you might take it to a track, but not to race. I mean, you could get a class going, but it would be like a basher fun class. It doesn't have the precision of racing trucks, and nor does it really want it. I like that it's big, sloppy, silly. This is fun. Oh, I forgot about the bull ants here. I'm getting attacked here again. Get off. I'll try and drive properly for a lap or two. No, there's no steering. I've lost steering. And we've got steering back again. Maybe it had a stone in there? That happens with the Senton sometimes. No, it keeps losing steering. It feels, actually, that loss of steering, it feels like a brownout. Like either the servo's not getting the current it needs from the BEC that's built into the speed controller. Oof, or it's too hot. I'm not sure which yet. Ah, okay, I see what it is. I see what it is. I'll show you something else. All right, watch this. That servo is still getting its full range of motion, even when I'm holding the wheel. So there's no position I can hold the front wheel in where the servo is unable to do its full range of motion. In my opinion, the servo saver, which is built onto the servo and not onto the bell crank, where it should be, it's too loose. It can't exert enough authority over the steering, which is why under hard steering situations it feels like I haven't got steering. It's because the pressures from the vehicle, remember, 5 kilogram plus battery, they're exceeding what that little metal band around the servo horn is able to exert. We'll pick something up. No, we're good. But look, it drives beautifully and smoothly. This is actually a really nice driver for what it is. It's a bit of a boat. How much of that is from this little servo horn servo saver? I'm not sure. There's a lot of slop in that steering. I wouldn't mind getting rid of the servo saver and sticking a strong servo, like a Holmes servo in there. I reckon that, like a direct 3S, 4S direct current servo, like the 14.8 volt Holmes, BLS 600 I think, that might be what this thing needs. It's a shame to have to spend the money, and I'm not going to yet, but I feel like that might be what it needs, because the steering is not strong enough. Look at that, eh? It's not bad. It's still putting a smile on my face, and again, only on 3S, haven't done 4S yet. All right, let's try 4S. Right, 4S power. This ought to be interesting. This is really the wrong place to drive this on 4S, honestly. Oh, it's a lot more urgent now. I've barely squeezed the trigger. It can't steer this car. Steering is too weak in this car. And that vibration in the rear wheels, the rear right especially, but all four of them have it. Gee, it's noticeable over the jump when it's in the air, you just hear it. Not ideal. It is stable though. I'm liking these tyres too. We also seem to have the air authority that we didn't have on 3S. I can make a quick adjustment and we're good. Yeah, actually I don't think those tyre vibrations are such a big deal actually. Wow! Sway bars definitely earning their money. Those sway bars have stopped this thing from rolling. Jeez. This is a silly car and I like it. Crikey. Let's have a look at it. This has happened twice now. Obviously, you can't hold this against it because it was a nasty knock, but the bumper keeps slipping out going over the body. And the rear body, the body's already showing its wear and tear, but she's a happy car. All right, let's try some more bashing stuff. Sorry in advance, car. All right. Wow. That vibration though. You can hear it when it's in the air, that drrrr. Being that there's plastic everywhere, it's actually quite tolerant of abuse, and we can all agree, I think, that was fairly abusive driving and quite a lot harder than I'd usually feel comfortable driving my cars, but this is more how I like to drive, honestly. But I want to make some points about I want to see, like, I want to explore how durable it is. I wouldn't have bought it if I wasn't doing RC-TNT, so, you know, we gotta test the thing. And with a bit more control and care, I think it's actually quite enjoyable. Will it take nasty bashing? Yes. Is it necessary to have fun? Yeah, I mean, no. No is the answer, not yes. It's not necessary to smash the car to have fun. It is fun, but that's an expensive way to have fun. And there was a half-second delay before I got throttle response then. That's better. It seems to be doing quite okay, honestly. That sounded like a crash. I thought that would have landed on its wheels. Oh, it did. How's it look after a full 3S and a full forest pack have run through it? Let's find out. This bumper kept folding around like that. Not a complaint, just an observation. I mean, that was pretty torturous driving I just did. It's unlikely I'm going to drive it like that very often ever. I don't like driving like that, but we're trying to test it, aren't we? Everything still cycles just fine. Steering, still good, although there's that noise. Don't know what that is. Yeah, right there. Everything is good. Those sway bars really helped, eh? As one side came down, it just pulled the other side down like it should, kept it stable. I'm quite happy with it. It's not bad, is it? Not a bad car at all. So what do I think? It does have some shortcomings. Those wonky wheels are an issue. There's a nasty resonance that happens just at low throttle, but when I'm in the air, I can feel it just going. Drrrr. It's probably not that big a deal for stability. It is a heavy car, It certainly took some awful driving just then, and it's still fine. The only thing that kept happening was the bumper kept popping out over the back of the body. That's my only complaint. Oh no, and steering. I did notice a funny noise. Ah, you know what? Endpoint's maxed out on the radio. Probably doesn't want to be. Servo's not going to last long. If you want to buy this car, budget for a nice servo. Get a direct voltage, like a 4S, 3S and 4S direct power one from Holmes, or I'm sure Reefs does one, but I haven't ever had Reefs before in Australia here, but certainly I get Holmes, and the 14 volt job is really good. Get something strong, then you can do away with the servo saver, or at least, I don't really know how to solve the steering yet. I'll come back to you. I wouldn't mind having more balanced tires. This vibration is kind of irking me, but otherwise, they're my two little complaints. It's super stable. Like I'm making videos here, right? I'm not making excuses. I intentionally drove rough. I don't like driving like that. I enjoy smoothness. And when I'm driving with my boy, I say, go slow to go fast, and it's fun, you know? But I smashed the snot out of that thing then. I just wanted to see if it would break, and it didn't. So that's a plus. I'm gonna keep playing with this. We're gonna, I guess, see how fast it goes on 3 and 4S. I'll do some more, probably with steering in the future, and we'll just see what we think of it. For a basher though, I'm pretty happy with it so far. Throw me a like, thank you so much for watching, and we'll do some more with this thing soon. But we still have a new Techno SE T410 2.0 to build. There's the Habeo 10SC, there are so many SCs. 10SC kit, electric kit to build. We have the the Baja Ray 2.0 to look at as well. And in the next video or two, there's going to be also the DRC $99 Amazon special 110. It's like the size of the small Red Cat 12 scale, but we've got a bunch of short course and desert trucks coming, so stick around. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again on RC-TNT. Cheers.